There's a storm quietly building behind the glamorous lights of Formula One. As the sport continues to expand across the globe, two of Italy's most iconic tracks, Imola and Monza, are now facing real uncertainty. The man at the center of it all, Stefano Domenicali, recently addressed the growing tension. With serious talks underway involving countries like Thailand and South Africa, and Madrid set to join the calendar in 2026, the question is becoming impossible to ignore. Will we soon witness one of Italy's legendary circuits being pushed aside? For decades, Italy has been a cornerstone of F1 history. But as more countries show serious interest in hosting races, the pressure to make room is rising. The sport's global footprint has now grown to a record-breaking 24 races. While that shows its massive appeal, it also means there's less space for heritage venues to stay on the schedule. And that has fans, especially in Italy, more than a little worried. We've already seen early signs of this shift with Zandvoort making its comeback, but now the spotlight has turned to Imola and Monza. The increasing interest from Thailand and South Africa is turning up the heat, especially with Madrid preparing to take its place on the calendar from 2026. That move alone puts the future of the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona in question. Domenicali, aware of the sport's changing landscape, made it clear they can't afford to play it safe anymore. The demand is too high, and they have to consider what's best for the sport as a whole, even if it means making some tough calls. Speaking about Italy's place in F1, Domenicali acknowledged just how vital the country has been to the sport's legacy. But he also admitted it's becoming harder to justify keeping two races in one country, especially with so many others lining up for a spot. He didn't sugarcoat it. The days of Imola and Monza both being regular fixtures might be numbered. Monza, often referred to as the home of speed, has its future secured. For now, the iconic circuit has a deal that keeps it on the calendar until 2031. Imola, though, isn't in the same position. Its current contract runs out in 2025, and Domenicali's recent statements suggest that the race he once called home might soon be rotating in and out rather than having a permanent place. That's a hard pill to swallow, especially for someone with personal ties to the track. Even though Domenicali plays a central role in shaping the calendar, he's under constant pressure. Financial offers from emerging markets are hard to ignore, and as much as history matters, money often speaks louder. He admitted the situation is emotionally difficult, especially considering what Imola did during the pandemic. Back in 2020, when F1 was scrambling to save the season, Imola stepped up. With short notice, the city pulled together and delivered, not just out of duty, but with pride and passion. That effort during one of F1's darkest seasons hasn't been forgotten by fans, but for the sport's decision-makers, memories seem short-lived. Imola didn't just host a race in 2020, it hosted two, stepping in when many others couldn't or wouldn't. Yet now, with F1's growing popularity, fueled in part by the success of the Drive to Survive series, the same places that once stayed quiet are now eager to get involved. The shift toward street circuits and glamorous new destinations has made older venues feel like they're being left behind. And the reality is, when big investors enter the scene, the dynamics change. Countries like Saudi Arabia are now heavily involved, not just as race hosts, but as active players in the sport's politics. There are even talks of them owning a team in the near future. Meanwhile, the list of possible new hosts keeps growing, and Thailand and Rwanda have both made strong impressions during discussions with Domenicali. In fact, he's been full of praise, especially for Rwanda, which seems determined to bring F1 to African soil once again. Rwanda's push isn't just talk. It's backed by leadership at the highest level. Domenicali highlighted President Kagame's vision and commitment to making sure everything is in place for a successful race weekend. But it's not just about building a track. The entire environment has to be prepared for what hosting a Formula One event really means. The organizers are working closely with the sports authorities, and the support from key figures like Lewis Hamilton has added even more weight to the project. With such strong backing, it feels more and more likely that Rwanda will soon earn its place on the calendar. But with new opportunities come difficult sacrifices. If Rwanda gets a race, something else will have to make room. And unfortunately, Imola might be that circuit. It's a painful trade-off, especially for drivers and fans who value the soul of traditional tracks. Just think back to Monza last year, when Ferrari pulled off a brilliant one-stop strategy and the crowd erupted in celebration. It wasn't just a win. It was a moment that reminded everyone what makes these classic venues so special. You can take a circuit off the calendar, but you can't erase the passion of the fans. Teams like Ferrari know this better than anyone. They've built a legacy at these home races, surrounded by supporters who bring unmatched energy. Losing one of those iconic events wouldn't just hurt tradition. It would break a connection that's been built over generations. And Ferrari, with all its history, is expected to stand firm against any move that risks severing that bond. Aside from Rwanda, Thailand has also made a compelling case, even with the political challenges it's faced recently. Domenicali had a direct meeting in Bangkok with Prime Minister Shinawatra and her team, where they laid out their plans in detail. He came away impressed, calling their vision promising and their commitment clear. As the calendar continues to evolve, it's these kinds of serious proposals that carry weight. It's not just about enthusiasm, it's about preparation, investment, and the ability to deliver a complete F1 experience. But the road to adding new races isn't as easy as it sounds. It's one thing to have interest from new places, but making it a reality is something else entirely. The pressure to grow the sport globally is undeniable, but at what cost? Drivers like George Russell have expressed concerns about the impact of the growing calendar, especially with back-to-back triple headers and the toll it takes on their teams. The logistics, the jet lag, it all starts to add up, making it harder for everyone involved to keep up the same level of performance. And, with drivers like Alonso and Verstappen voicing their discontent, there's a real risk that fans might lose interest. If the legends aren't excited about the future of the sport, it's hard to imagine the fans will be either. The nature of the tracks is another issue. As more street circuits come into play, drivers face challenges that modern F1 cars aren't exactly designed to handle. These narrow, winding streets aren't built for high-speed racing, and though the new 2026 regulations might help, it's still not in line with what F1 fans have come to love. So with all this in mind, what do you think? Are we moving in the wrong direction by risking the loss of iconic circuits like Imola or Monza? Or is it time for the sport to embrace new, emerging venues and continue expanding? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want more insights, make sure to check out the next video on your screen now.